I have to talk about something that's really frustrating. My husband told me not to say anything, but I just can't hold it in anymore. We just came back from getting service on our Xpeng electric car, and today we got to see the reality of owning a new energy vehicle. We thought spending over 100,000 yuan on a car, it should last us at least 7 or 8 years. We didn't expect too much, but here we are, less than 4 years in, and when we took it in for maintenance today, they said the chassis was damaged, with a hole in it, and repairing it would cost over 60,000 yuan. Not even a month later, the navigation screen stopped working. Today, they told us the GPS is broken. I didn't touch it or drop it, and now fixing it will cost 10,000 yuan. Earlier, when my husband mentioned the car had issues, I tried to calm him down, but now I'm the one feeling anxious. He told me he's learned some inside info about new energy vehicles in the last month or two. These companies never intended for you to drive them for long. After just over 4 years, things start breaking down. Repairing it isn't worth the cost, but leaving it unfixed is frustrating. The goal is to get you to buy a new car every 4 or 5 years, boosting consumer spending. We thought we were buying a car for over 100,000 yuan, but it turns out we bought a phone. In 4 or 5 years, we're forced to replace it. Life's really hard for regular folks like us. If we didn't go through it, we wouldn't have even known the truth. In a way, this lady is lucky. She learned this hard truth before sinking tens of thousands of yuan into repairs. What was supposed to save money by being an electric vehicle has now turned into a money pit.
Don't argue with me. Are the first batch of electric car owners about to replace their batteries or what? When I first got my electric car, it felt amazing. I paid 20 yuan to charge it, while others spent 200 yuan on gas. How much I loved it back then is how conflicted I feel now. If you want to replace the battery, it'll cost at least 70,000 to 80,000 yuan, sometimes even over 100,000. For certain brands, it's more than 200,000 yuan. Take the Dihon model for instance. The battery replacement can run you 140,000 yuan. Is that true or not? Someone might say, I'm smart, my battery has a lifetime warranty. Have you really read the fine print of that warranty? Do you not realize that these new energy car companies are losing money? They lose money every year, and they're giving you lifetime warranties? What do you think this is? The US national deficit? Then there's a guy who says, I'm fine, my car's done over 100,000 kilometers, and the battery still has 96% lifespan. Hey buddy, does your car's actual range still have 50%? Are you brave enough to run the air conditioning in winter? And for those who bought electric cars to drive for ride-hailing services, has the money you made over the years been enough to replace the battery? In summary, battery replacement is just too expensive, and the parts to whole price ratio is comparable to luxury brands like BMW or Audi. So here's to the first batch of new energy vehicle owners. Anything that's new and exciting is always costly.
It's worth noting that the power battery, as the core component of new energy vehicles, accounts for around 40% of the cost of an electric car. This means that for a car costing 200,000 yuan, the battery alone costs 80,000 yuan. Not long ago, McKinsey China released a report, and some of the data in it is quite alarming for electric vehicle owners. McKinsey pointed out that since they began surveying Chinese car buyers, this is the first time acceptance of new energy vehicles has dropped. The percentage of respondents considering purchasing an electric vehicle for their next car fell from 68% in 2022 to 62% in 2023. The survey also revealed that 22% of electric vehicle owners regret their purchase decision, a significant increase from just 3% in previous surveys. In just 1 year, the regret rate among electric car owners has increased sevenfold, and the reasons behind this deserve serious thought. Here are the main reasons. 1. Poor charging experience. By the end of 2023, the number of new energy vehicles, NEVs, in China had reached 20.4 million, accounting for 6% of the total number of cars. Among these, fully electric vehicles make up 15.5 million, which is 76% of the NEV total. The ratio of NEVs to charging stations is 2.5 to 1, far from the ideal 1-to-1 ratio. This gap is even more concerning since 3/4 of those 20.4 million NEVs are fully electric. For these users, charging facilities are essential, and the lack of infrastructure greatly affects their acceptance of NEVs. Most charging stations are concentrated in first and second tier cities, while third to fourth tier cities have limited access to charging resources. Data shows that 73% of the country's public charging infrastructure is located in the top 10 provinces, leaving the remaining provinces to share only 27%. It's clear that charging is a major inconvenience for many NEV owners in these areas. 2. Poor battery range. Many fully electric car models are advertised to have a range of 600 to 700 kilometers, but this isn't the real-world range. When temperatures drop or other conditions arise, the actual range can significantly decrease. This becomes even more problematic during holidays, especially around Chinese New Year when people travel long distances. The combination of limited range and poor charging experiences leads many car owners to regret choosing electric vehicles. 3. Low resale value. Even if car owners aren't worried about charging, many feel regret when they see well-maintained cars being sold for a very low price to second-hand car dealers. How low is the resale value for NEVs? Data shows that after 3 years, a gasoline-powered car retains around 60 to 70% of its value, with luxury brands like BMW and Audi holding at least 65%. In contrast, NEVs retain only about 20 to 40% of their value. This is understandably hard for NEV owners to accept. 4. High repair costs. In February 2021, a Tesla Model Y owner from Suzhou shared in a car group that he accidentally backed into a wall, severely damaging the right rear end, including the rear door, tail light, and side window. The insurance company's initial estimate put repair costs at nearly 200,000 yuan, while the car originally cost 280,000 yuan. The owner couldn't believe that the single accident would cost him 71% of the car's value. The repair costs are so high because the car's integrated casting design means that if it gets damaged, the entire part must be replaced. Another major issue with electric cars is battery lifespan. While an NEV may have a total range of 1 million kilometers, the battery's lifespan is typically only 240 kilometers. The battery's lifespan is much shorter than the car's, and replacing it can cost tens of thousands, if not more. As a result, used electric cars, especially fully electric ones, often resell for extremely low prices. 5. Increasing insurance costs. Specialized insurance for NEVs is now available, meaning that in the future, NEVs can only be insured through specific policies. Electric cars and gasoline cars now fall under separate systems. Insurance premiums for NEVs are 10 to 20% higher than for gasoline vehicles, leading many to joke that the money they save on fuel just ends up going to insurance. It's important to note that the rising insurance costs are linked to the risk rate of different models. So if a brand's insurance is expensive, it suggests that its models have a higher risk of accidents. So if you don't choose the right brand, the money you saved on fuel might not even cover the insurance costs. Finally, it's fair to say that there are NEV owners who aren't worried about charging, range, or resale value. But even among these users, some still regret their purchase, like the former owner of a railway vehicle who was recently interviewed by Automobile Commune. She told the publication, "I live in Shanghai and I rarely drive long distances, so range wasn't a concern. I have a fixed parking spot with a charging station, so charging wasn't an issue either. A few years ago, I decided to buy a railway because gas prices were too high. But soon after I got it, small problems kept coming up. None of them were serious enough to stop me from driving, but they were annoying. Before that, I had a Volkswagen, and it barely had any issues after years of use. But with the electric car, there was always something wrong. The railway was her first NEV, and her poor experience left her biased against all NEVs. She said, even if I lose some money, I'd rather sell the railway and switch back to Volkswagen." China is the world's largest market and producer of all NEVs, but it's facing increasing concerns over intense competition, poor quality, and frequent accidents. Recently, a series of severe crashes have raised fears among electric car owners, with many of these incidents pointing to out-of-control domestically produced electric cars. In January this year, Zhu Huarong, chairman of Chang'an Automobile, publicly exposed the industry's aggressive and unethical competition. He revealed that some car companies use exaggerated and false advertising to mislead consumers. The continuous reports of serious accidents and quality issues in China's NEV sector are believed to be closely linked to a significant shortage of automotive chips. In 2023, China's automobile production exceeded 30 million units, yet the country remains heavily reliant on imports for automotive chips. Data from multiple sources suggest that over 90% of automotive chips are imported. According to Luo Daojun, deputy director at the Institute of Electronic Components and Materials under the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, domestically produced automotive-grade chips account for less than 10% of the market, creating a structural shortage. Luo shared this information publicly at the China Auto Forum in July. In May 2024, Nikkei Asia reported that China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology had asked automakers like SAIC, BYD, Dongfeng, GAC, and FAW to increase the local sourcing of automotive chips by 20 to 25% by 2025. But how difficult is it to produce automotive-grade chips? A December 2023 article from the Abao 1990 blog shares three major technical challenges. The first challenge is the environmental hurdle. Unlike consumer products like smartphones or computers, cars operate in much harsher environments. Automotive-grade chips must endure significantly more vibration and shocks, as well as exposure to liquids and dust. The temperature range for automotive-grade chips is typically between -40 Celsius and 150 degrees Celsius, where consumer-grade chips only need to function between 0 degrees and 70 degrees. The second challenge is the longevity hurdle. While consumer electronics rarely last more than 5 years, vehicles typically have a life cycle of 10 to 15 years, covering about 200,000 kilometers. The failure rate for automotive-grade chips must be measured in parts per million, or even parts per billion, to ensure durability. The third and most critical challenge is the safety hurdle. If your phone crashes, you lose communication temporarily. But if a car's chip fails while driving, it could be fatal for the driver. On October 13th, a traffic accident occurred in Anhui province involving what appeared to be a domestically produced NEV. It lost control, resulting in multiple casualties. A video shows a chaotic scene with a knocked-down road sign and at least 4 people lying on the ground. A couple in white t-shirts, believed to be the drivers, were seen explaining the situation to special police officers. The man said, "The brakes failed and we couldn't stop at all." The woman added that they were close to home when it happened. According to comments on the video, the vehicle involved was identified as a Li Auto 1 NEV. Later that night, at 10 p.m., Bengbu police reported that on the 13th, a 33-year-old Bengbu resident was driving a small car along Longtang Road when the accident occurred. The crash resulted in 2 people dying at the scene, 1 person passing away after being taken to the hospital, and 3 others being injured. The driver has been detained by the police. However, the cause of the accident has not yet been confirmed. According to an internet user, the driver claimed the car lost control, and his pregnant wife and child were also in the vehicle. On the afternoon of October 12th, at an intersection in Zhejiang province, an electric vehicle suddenly caught fire while waiting at a red light. Fortunately, the female driver managed to escape just in time. Video footage shows the fire spreading rapidly, with flames engulfing the entire car within just 30 seconds. If the driver had hesitated even slightly, she might not have been able to open the door in time. Additionally, according to a report by Huasheng Daily, sources revealed that Luo, the vice president of the Jiangxi Chamber of Commerce in Hubei province, was involved in a fatal accident while riding a Wenjie M9 self-driving vehicle. He was with his brother and sister-in-law at the time. Tragically, Luo's brother did not survive the crash. The recent string of major incidents involving Chinese electric vehicles is unlikely to be due to human error. Instead, the outdated and missing chip technology in China's new energy vehicles has caused intelligent driving and assistive systems to fail, posing a significant threat to drivers, pedestrians, and the surrounding environment. Let's take a look at a set of recently exposed comparison tests of Chinese new energy vehicle smart driving systems. What happens when 6 kids cross the street and come across Xiaomi SU7, NIO ETS, and Tesla Model 3, all equipped with smart driving technology from China? First, let's take a look at the Xiaomi SU7's response when facing 6 kids crossing the road.
We just did the Xiaomi SU7 test with 6 dummies crossing the street at 40 kilometers per hour. There was no reaction at all. No warning, no AEB collision braking, nothing. The car just hit them, and their legs got crushed under the wheels. These are dummies, but if they were real kids, I can't imagine what their legs would look like.
Next up is NIO ETS encountering the same situation.
For the NIO ETS, this shouldn't happen. It's equipped with a laser radar, millimeter wave radar, and visual sensors. All these should be able to detect the situation. But throughout the entire event, there was no warning, no forward collision warning, and no automatic braking. Only after I slammed on the brakes did the FCW come on.
Finally, the Tesla Model 3 faces 6 kids crossing the street. At 40 kilometers per hour, and even at 50 kilometers per hour. This test is really frightening. If there are a few children crossing the road and encounter the smart driving cars, would the children make it? The increasing number of serious accidents involving Chinese electric vehicles has not only caused anxiety in the Chinese public, but has also led to rising resistance against these vehicles abroad. Mr. Y, an insider familiar with the Chinese system and industry practices, explained, "All Chinese products for export and those sold domestically follow a double standard. The quality of export products is always superior than those sold within China, which is the opposite of what other countries do. That's why we don't see as many accidents involving Chinese electric cars overseas. But even so, countries worldwide are now raising tariffs and imposing sanctions on Chinese electric vehicles. The US is even working on plans to fully ban Chinese cars from entering its market in the near future. This is because, in addition to China's overproduction of electric vehicles and low-price dumping, which has harmed local car industries in other countries, the US and European nations have greater concerns about the security risks related to data protection and digital surveillance by the Chinese government. Increasing evidence suggests that the Chinese Communist Party has been using all available means to conduct comprehensive surveillance within China and globally, including through electric vehicles, which have gained significant attention in recent years. In fact, many countries have been wary of the CCP's espionage tactics and surveillance methods for some time. As a result, Chinese electric vehicles exported abroad are typically stripped of their smart systems and sold as basic models. Despite this, these vehicles remain distrusted and are being pushed out of major global markets.